So you're telling me we could have got Ben Simmons? Man, every single day, I just think and think how many terrible mistakes this team is making. So what is good, YouTube? We are back here for another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Houston Rockets future, and we're actually going to be uncovering a lot of secret things about the James Harden trade that we had no idea about. So shouts out to Bleacher Report. They actually wrote up a long old article. The link to it will be down in the description below. The first thing we actually learned was that James Harden and Kevin Durant met really early on, and they talked about how they wanted to play together. On November 11th, James Harden kind of told Russ, hey bruh, I'm gonna be heading out, so you might not want to be there. And pretty much Russ came out and Russ demanded a trade. He knew about the partying stuff before he came to Houston. On November 14th, James Harden and Kevin Durant thought the deal was already done until the Rockets started to get a little greedy with their negotiation. At that point, he had to find a way to force his way off of this team, and him, Kevin Durant, and eventually he hired a brand new agent, and they kind of concocted this plan. And according to rival execs, James Harden figured that he would have to outdo what Jimmy Butler did in Minnesota. He had to force his way out. We also found out that James Harden was almost sent to Miami before the Rockets snaked them. And the worst thing about this is that the Rockets could be sitting on Ben Simmons right now. Instead, we're not, which is very, very tragic as somebody from Houston. But let's get straight into this video because I really want to hear y'all's thoughts and y'all's opinions on the Houston Rockets future. Part of me thinks that they have a chance of being really, really good, but the other part of me is like, I don't know. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into it, and hopefully by the end of this video, we can have some type of direction about what this team could potentially look like. Alright guys, and I want to start this video off just by talking about what the Rockets could have got in return for James Harden. Obviously, the Ben Simmons thing really irks me because Ben Simmons is obviously, he might win Defensive Player of the Year this season, and he's obviously one of the best players in the entire NBA. You are at bare minimum getting an all-star, one of the best defensive players in the league who can guard 1 through 5, and somebody who would mesh perfectly well with Christian Wood. And let's also go ahead and look at the trade they actually took, because I gotta be honest, man, out of these Nets trades, they possibly got the worst haul. First of all, why did you guys trade Jared Allen basically for a first-round pick from Milwaukee? Why? Like, literally why? I understand that you guys wanted to play Christian Wood at center, but hey, plans changed. And when thinking about how good defensively this team could have been with Jared Allen and Christian Wood running power forward, wow. And to make matters worse, no offense, I really like Victor Oladipo as well, but Karis LeVert has shown to be a better scorer. Scoring is something that we desperately needed. But anyways, those are the hypotheticals. That is not the reality we are currently living in. Let's talk about some of the good pieces the Rockets actually have. And that's starting off with Christian Wood. Christian Wood, to me, I am so thankful that Detroit is Detroit and Detroit made a Detroit move. Christian Wood is 25 years old and he looks amazing. Like, I'm gonna be honest, he was showing out. He's been showing out all season before he actually got injured, and since he's been hurt, well, nothing but L's, man, and nothing but straight L's. But obviously, Christian Wood is a really solid foundation, a really good building block. He is untouchable. Don't even think about it. Next up is Jae'Sean Tate. Yo, Tate, man, oh my gosh, this man was literally a steal and is one of the best rookies out there. I had no idea who this guy was before this season. Popped in the first game, he putting up numbers. Kevin Porter Jr. We finessed Cleveland and we saved him at the same time. He was already one of the most underrated players in the 2019 draft. He has so much potential. If you guys watched him in college, he would have been a lotto pick. But there were some things behind the scenes at USC that a lot of people don't really know about, but that's kind of why he fell. And some of those things even came back in Cleveland. It's a change of scenery. I think that Stephen Silas is another part of this team that I like. With those guys and Kenyon Martin Jr., at least we have some decent players on this team already. How can I not mention, we have a boatload of draft picks. I don't really rank this as being good or necessarily bad because I personally see draft picks as a gamble, and people always just assume that you guys have a ton of draft picks, your future's bright. Yeah, that's not true. Draft picks are massive gambles, and like 90% of them turn out to be mid or just below average players. Like, that's how it's always been. Oklahoma City Thunder hit on all of their draft picks, drafting Kevin Durant, drafting James Harden, drafting Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, drafting all of these players, and what did it get them? One finals appearance, and all those guys left them and became massive successes somewhere else. So draft picks are really sketchy to me, which is why I prefer the Ben Simmons trade, because at least you know what Ben Simmons is right now. He's an all-star. Once we start getting into draft picks, let's say you hit on all of them, you really wouldn't know. A lot of them would not be able to even develop. I mean, James Harden was really good in the Thunder, but look at what he turned into once he got off. He's better than the person starting over him in Russell Westbrook. The Lakers had a bunch of draft picks. A lot of those guys developed somewhere else. Clarkson, Randall, Lonzo, Hart. The Timberwolves have had so many draft picks. And how's that going? Hopefully we can turn that into an actual player once we become a mid to decent team. Right now we're bad. We're really, really bad. If we can get somewhere to being like a 500 team around there in the West, we might be able to like trade for like maybe a disgruntled all-star, or maybe if there's like a Zion of like the draft or something, we can trade up and get him. And that's another thing. Some of these draft classes ain't gonna be as good as what we think. But other than that, guys, let's talk about some of the pieces on this team that gotta go, that gotta skedaddle, that we gotta get rid of right now. Yo, shouts out to like John Wall coming back from like his injury, but he gotta go. Really great person off the court, but I think for the development of this team, it just currently does not make sense. Let's forget about those I'm the franchise player comments, because he's clearly not. It's gonna probably be Christian Wood. It's just his contract and what I'm currently seeing. Like, it just doesn't really make sense. I think it works both ways. I'm sure that John Wall wants to be on maybe a contending team, but having him on this team the next 2 years make no sense. But it's 2 years, so as long as he doesn't stunt the development of all these young players, I'm cool. Next up, we gotta trade PJ Tucker. I love PJ Tucker, man, but PJ wants to go to a contending team and we gotta get something back for him. His trade value is literally dwindling, so we need to move him fast. Eric Gordon, pack him up, same thing. All these veterans that aren't gonna really move the needle, we should get something back for them. Yes, I'm against draft picks, but keeping players on big contracts, that also doesn't really make any sense either. And lastly, let's talk about Victor Oladipo, because he's probably leaving for Miami, and that is completely fine. He should leave because I want Porter to actually come up and play shooting guard for us. There is a possibility of a sign-in trade. That would be great. I would have preferred Karras, but Tillman did this for a reason. The biggest reason is because Tillman wants to save money and Victor had an expiring deal, and that's what he wanted to actually do. And the thing is, I think that Tillman is probably the biggest downside of this team. In 2018, after this team took Golden State 7 games and started complaining about luxury tax, was a really bad look. That's the biggest reason why Clint Capella was always going to be getting moved. Everyone loved him on this team. A team that just made the conference final. The owner is complaining about luxury tax. That's a bad look. Players see it, their agents see it. Their agents are the biggest hurdle because their agents really wouldn't want them coming here. This is the first video where I'm really unsure about the future of the Houston Rockets. Like, I really want Houston to be as successful as possible, but I gotta be honest, the draft picks look great. Christian Wood looks great, but a lot of this stuff is like everything has to go right, and that's the biggest reason why I made this video. I really want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you guys think the Rockets' future entails? Is it going to be positive, getting back to making the playoffs every single season, being at minimum a top 5 seed, or is it going to be bad? I really have no idea, guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and like it up, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, y'all.